Welcome to the Sellernomics podcast. In today's episode, we'll be featuring one of the many great tools and software available to Amazon sellers to help you grow your FBA business. A special thank you to our sponsor, GETIDA, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at getida.com/Sellernomics. Now it's time to show us what you got with your hosts, Rob Stanley and Lisa Kinski.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's very special episode of Show Us What You've Got. I'm Lisa Kinski here with Rob Stanley. It's actually the first of a three-parter, you guys, that we're very, very excited about. Kind of cooked this idea up at the Prosper Show. Let's go on ahead and bring on our very special guest for today, Vince Montero with Trivium. Vince, how are you, dear?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good, good.
You know, Trivium, we love Trivium.
Yeah.
Mina is awesome. We absolutely love Mina.
Yep.
Sometimes Mina could go a little deep on PPC. So today we're talking about Amazon Seller Guide to PPC for Beginners. Vince, I think, is the perfect person. I'm not saying that Mina's not, but Vince is the perfect person to lead us through this amazing three-part series, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Of course, I would follow it in that order. And we had to make it a Show Us What You Got. So Vince, you got to show us what you got when it comes to Amazon PPC for beginners. Let's do this.
Well, I am down. So for those of you who might not know me, used to be with Helium 10, and I head up their PPC, helped them develop a tool and all the training and marketing. So yeah, now I'm doing it with Trivium Group. Excited. Also love Mina, which is why I'm working with him. But he does get deep in the weeds, and you can do that very, very easily with PPC. If you guys have gotten into it all. So that's why it was Lisa and I, we thought, you know what, why don't we break this up to make it a little bit more accessible for people and they can actually digest this in stages. Yes. So today I'm going to show you what I got for best practices and things around if you're brand new to Amazon PPC. So let me go ahead and start down here. Now, why do you want to do Amazon PPC? The main reason why, especially if you're brand new, is you can show up on day one, right? If you are brand new to Amazon, this is going to be the thing that is going to give you maybe some leverage, give you the boost that you need because you don't have any reviews yet. Maybe your product's not well known. You're not in the rankings yet. So PPC is actually one of those things that can help you kind of be seen really, really quickly. Now, there's a lot of debate on if you should do PPC before you have reviews or not. Some people say wait until you have some reviews. To me, it's a question of budget. If you've got budget to do it, why not use it to get that visibility to then potentially get the sales that are going to lead to those reviews. So again, PPC is just going to be there to help shoppers really quickly find your product if you do the research right, which I'm going to talk about. Obviously, that point of that is to help you grow your sales and your revenue, build that ranking with Amazon that you might not yet have, and hopefully improve your organic ranking and performance along the way. So what is Amazon PPC? I like to start with this basically because a lot of people have misconceptions about what PPC is. And all PPC, it's just your marketing budget for your products that you sell on Amazon. If you were to sell a product in a store, or if you were to open a store, physical store, you're going to have advertising to guide people to your store, all right? Now, that doesn't mean people are going to buy. Once they walk into your store, if it's a big mess and you're missing products, are they going to buy? Probably not. So it doesn't guarantee sales. PPC is kind of just the way to get people to your product listing, and your product listing is what actually has to make the sale. So I like to start with that because it is a common misconception. I think people, brand new sellers, think, oh, I'm going to start this PPC, I'm going to get all these sales. That's not necessarily true. So what does it do? It targets customers, shoppers that are doing searches for products, and it places ads in front of them in pretty high visibility placements on Amazon. If you guys, are buying on Amazon or no at all, there's lots of sponsor product ads, which I'll show you guys in a bit. And then after you make after a shopper makes a bid, the seller then pays a fee to Amazon if it's clicked, and only if it's clicked. This is why it's called pay-per-click or PPC, because you're basically only going to pay if a shopper that's viewing your particular product is clicking on that ad and then going to your product detail page. So this is the process for some of you guys, or if you're brand new, this might be a little bit confusing to you. Even people that have been doing this for a while don't know the difference between search term and keyword. So I like to kind of just break down this process. And it all starts with a search term. The shopper is, as you're shopping on Amazon, you're just typing different words and different versions of the words to kind of drill down to what you're looking for. If you're running a relevant ad, then hopefully you're going to get that product placement, but it has to be, you have to bid on the keyword, you have to bid on the right keywords, and the bid has to be correct, right? So it is a bidding platform. It's kind of like basically a big Google. It's a big search engine optimization. So it's going to be judged on the keywords that the shopper types in and your bidding. Now, if the shopper clicks on it, you're going to pay. I do like to note that it's not always based on the bid. So it's not a system where the highest bidder pays on the keyword. It's relevant to it, but it's not the only thing. So product rankings and relevancy and other things that the algorithm that Amazon uses puts into play, historical data, is other things that are going to make it more likely that you're going to actually win that bid and get that placement. So there's 3 different ways to run Amazon PPC, and these basically are just 3 different campaign types. So sponsor product ads, these are the ads that you're probably most commonly used to seeing if you're shopping on Amazon. And they use both keywords and ASINs to target ads to you as a shopper. They show up on the shopping results page and on the product detail pages. So within sponsored products, there's 3 different ways to target. You can use different search terms based on different match types, which I'm going to go over. But basically, sponsored product ads are what you see kind of like under the search bar, under an initial ad, usually in the top of the search placement, you're going to see sponsored, sponsored, sponsored. That means that's an ad. The middle of the page, there's going to be some, and the very bottom of the search results page, there's always some more. And those are your standard sponsored product ads. The sponsored brand ads, sponsored brand ads are the ones that kind of show up right at the top of the search results. So if you're shopping and you see an ad right below your search bar, that's a sponsored brand ad. Now, these can feature a minimum of 3 different products if you're using the headline search ad. But there's also a new placement on here where this can actually be a video. So this is sponsored brands is the only other or the only one of the brand or campaign types where you can run video ads. It's the original campaign type where you can actually run video ads. And these ads appear in the middle of the page. I don't know if you guys have been shopping lately, but I've seen video ads now at the middle of the page and the bottom of the page now. Yeah. You guys are both shaking your head. Yes. Yep. So video is becoming more and more important, and Amazon's popping it into all different places now. And then lastly, sponsored display ads. So sponsored display ads, again, these are targeted to actual detail pages. So the ASINs of maybe your competitors, you can actually show up on their page. So if you're on a product detail page and you see the ad, sometimes it's below the bullets. Sometimes it's below the buy box or the featured offer that Amazon likes to call it now. It makes it really, really visible. If you think about it, you've already done your search, you've clicked on an ad or clicked on a tile, maybe you don't even know it's an ad. You're on a page and you're looking at, okay, I'm considering buying this particular product. But then you've got ads on that product detail page. That is sponsored display. It's very, very powerful. It's actually also placements that are used in DSP. But I'm not going to get into DSP. That's more advanced. But I will note that the last 2 types, sponsored brand and sponsored display ads, are only available to brand registered sellers. So if you're brand new, you only have access to sponsored product ads, which is fine. Definitely run them, but you want to get brand registered really quickly, not only because of all the benefits that you get from getting brand registered, which you, Rob, probably know more than I do since I only know the PPC part. But PPC, it's super powerful to have these different kind of placements, including video. And now sponsored display ads, there's also video being played here. So in the spots that I'm showing you in this screen, instead of just, product image and some information about your product, there's actually video that's going to be playing here or is already playing here. I just haven't seen it yet. I just know that it happens or it's actually being used because I have clients that are doing sponsored display video, and it actually converts really, really well. So PPC terminology, I just kind of wanted to give a couple of slides of information just to make sure that we're kind of all on the same page. There is lots of acronyms and different phrases that I've already even shared with you that I just want to make sure you guys are clear on before I move forward. Obviously, I already described what pay-per-click is. It's just a sponsored ads metric. Impressions, when Amazon shows your product, and if you are on the screen, that's an impression. Even if the shopper actually didn't see it, If they're doing a search and your ad appears anywhere on that screen, that's considered an impression. Clicks is when they actually click on your ad, and that is, again, the pay-per-click. But a click is just the number of times someone has clicked on your ad. Click-through rate is an important metric. This is just the percentage of customers that saw your ad, your impression, and then they clicked on it. So they're monitoring both how many times it was seen on a page and then how much it was clicked. A search term, which I've said a couple of different times already, it basically whatever a customer types into the search bar at the top, to find a product. It's not the same as a keyword. The search terms match to a keyword or a target, as we're calling it more often. And the keyword or the target is the word, phrase, or ASIN that you are bidding on that then matches your product to a search term that customer has typed in. And a bid, again, that's just the bid. It's the amount you're willing to pay. It's kind of a cap, depending on kind of the settings that you use, but it's typically kind of a cap of how much you're willing to pay when a shopper clicks on your ad. And after Amazon has matched your keyword or ASIN to that customer search term. A couple more PPC terms. Targeting. There's lots of different ways you can do targeting. I'm going to talk about that in more detail. Negative keywords is basically words that you find maybe on your search term report, because you do get analytics that shows you all the different search terms people are using to actually find your product. And you can use negative matching to say, hey, I don't want to be seen anymore for this particular search term. Keyword match types. Basically, when you use actually words that you're bidding on, there's different match types that you can go into: broad, phrase, or exact. And they're kind of sound like what they mean. I'm going to give you a more detailed explanation of that in a little bit. Dynamic bidding and placement bidding. These are a little bit more advanced features, but I like to mention them here because when you're starting out brand new, I suggest that you kind of just leave these alone a little bit. And then we'll talk about how to go back in these in a later episode and maybe change some of these settings to give your bids maybe, more of a chance of maybe appearing in that placement. Advertising cost of sales. This is your ACoS. This is the basic metric that Amazon uses. And it's used to measure the efficiency of your advertising. And all it is your PPC spend divided by your PPC sales. Interesting thing about ACoS is that it's an Amazon only term. Amazon is the only marketing or digital company that uses this term, ACoS. Most people are used to the term ROAS, a return on ad spend. And that's simply the reverse of the ACoS. You're just dividing your PPC sales by your PPC spend. So again, just know it's a metric that you can use to gauge the success of your campaigns. But your tacos is actually, or total ACoS, is actually way more important in my opinion, because this takes into account your organic and your PPC sales, not just your PPC sales. So you remember at the beginning of this episode, I said your PPC should not be expected to just make sales on its own. You shouldn't run it for that reason. You're running your PPC because you're hoping you're going to get organic placements as well. An advertisement is an advertisement. The more a shopper sees it, when you're driving on the road, side of the road, and maybe Robbie, you can answer, like, if you see a billboard a couple different times as you're driving, you might not need it at that moment in time, right? But as soon as I need a plumber. And you remember the name of the plumber, right? And you do a Google search, and obviously they're in your area, or else, if you're driving around home, that's the same thing with Amazon. It's the same thing. If your ads are appearing a lot of different times, impressions, right? Hopefully they're not always clicking on it and then not buying, but that's going to potentially lead to organic sales. People are going to hopefully remember your brand's name and just type it in directly. And then hopefully you're really good at doing branded keywords, and then you're going to appear. So I see it all the time when launching a new, product line, how just within a few, short weeks or months that people are automatically starting to search by your product, by your brand name. And that's one of the ways that they do it. So when you think of PPC in that way, you really should always take your organic sales into account, which means you're looking at your total sales when you're including that factor of gauging the success of your PPC campaigns. Understanding the PPC campaign framework, for beginners, I always think this is just really important because it can be a little bit confusing how all the different campaign types, and I already talked to you about three different ones. Campaign types, between the auto campaign and the manual campaign. This is the sponsor product campaigns that you do have access to as a brand new seller. So that's why I kind of want to dive into these a little bit more. So an automatic campaign, at a minimum, I think you should run an auto campaign and the manual campaigns and the different 3 campaign types, which I'll talk about. Auto campaign sounds exactly what it is. It's basically letting Amazon automatically match your product with search terms or ASINs or product detail pages that they think are connected to or relevant to your particular product. So it's easy to set up. So it's definitely, that is one benefit, because you don't have to do any keyword research or comparator research to find their ASINs. Although I do suggest you do that as well for your manual campaigns. But it really kind of gives you a good, I don't know, what's the term, high level view of how Amazon is looking at your product. So if you've done a really, really good job of optimizing your product detail page, auto campaigns should actually do fairly okay. Now, they are kind of, again, they're run by Amazon. Amazon likes to spend our money, right? As you guys know, you have to watch them. So you always have to have good optimization, in mind when you're running auto campaigns. I'll talk about that in your intermediate sessions. Your manual campaigns, again, this is when you do your research. There's great tools out there like Helium 10, like I used to work for, keyword research, product research. There's no reason why you shouldn't do some research unless you're just lazy. You should know, what keywords should I actually be appearing for? What competitors' pages should I be appearing on? And those are the ones that you want to run. So those are the 2 different types, auto and actually manual. Within
quick question for this.
Good. Yes.
Going back to the last screen, if people for some reason, let's say they just, hey, I'm trying to run the company, I'm on a shoestring, it's just me, I don't have too much time at the moment to go do manual, but I do plan on doing it soon. Maybe it's a month or 2 from now, which is probably a little late, but should they click on that automatic with maybe a spend limit that they're comfortable with?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about budget towards the end, but yeah, definitely auto campaigns. If you only have the opportunity to run auto campaign, and again, if you are going into this understanding, I need to spend money to get the data to make money, right? So if you understand that running an auto campaign is great because you're going to get a ton of data. And, when you're brand new, let's say this is your first product in this example, you're in data collection mode. And I kind of circle back on that, in this presentation. But yeah, if you want to just run some auto campaigns, maybe let's say you got 3 SKUs, you just run some three different auto campaigns, let them run, make sure there's enough budget to get data, right? And yeah, you just look at it later, and then that's when you're able to trim down. The best thing is that maybe you'll get really good results, and you'll be able to see, oh, look, here's a bunch of search terms that I made sales on, and then you can take those and then make manual campaigns out of the search terms that have already proven themselves.
Yeah, love it.
Makes sense.
Thank you. Yep.
So the targeting types. Now this is in regards to this is both auto and manual. So this is where it can get a little bit confusing, but auto campaigns, if you wanted to, there's actually 4 different targeting types or match types that Amazon uses for actually your auto campaigns as well. And it used to be you had no control over this. Auto campaigns would just, show to every single kind of search term. You had no control. Now Amazon's giving you some levers here that you can actually, turn off and on, which I'll show in a later episode. But to explain, auto campaigns have 2 ways to kind of decide on search terms and on detail page how you're going to show, where you're going to show. Close match sounds exactly like it is. Your ad will show to shoppers who use search terms, so the search results page, closely related to your products. This one usually performs best if you've got a really tight budget, Rob. I would say just on the auto campaign and just use the close match as a target. But you never know. I've seen some campaigns where different targets run better than others in auto campaigns. Loose match, exactly how it sounds. Your ad will show to shoppers on the search result page for terms that are loosely related to your products. And then substitutes and complements is the product detail pages. So your ad will show to shoppers who view detail pages, or again, competitor pages of products similar to yours, or complements. So your ad will appear on a detail page. If you're selling sheets, Amazon might show you on a product detail page for pillows, another seller that sells pillows. So that's your complements. So if you really wanted to drill down into this, Nina actually suggests launching an auto campaign for each one of these types. But that's more time, more investment. I think that you can just launch it with all 4 of these campaign types. You'll know within a couple of weeks which one of these buckets basically is working best for you, and you can just turn it off or increase or decrease budgets on these actual levers, which is pretty cool. Manual targeting match types. This is again for the keywords. As I mentioned before, there's broad, there's phrase, there's exact, and there's actually ASINs that you can target. So I think that a better way of showing this is, let's see here. Did I, you know what? I deleted that. I deleted a slide for time. So maybe I'll bring it back for the intermediate, but really quickly, broad match, kind of like it sounds. If a customer puts in a search term, Amazon's going to broadly search for people that are bidding on broad match keywords. Are going to use kind of like broad searches. So if you are selling a dog collar and you put broad match dog collar, you're going to get matched to a lot of different search terms that might include the word dog and the word collar. So it's kind of a very wide net that you're casting if you use broad match. Phrase match is a little bit more drilled down. Simply means, again, dog collar, you're only going to be seen if somebody types in dog collar with those words next to each other, or big dog collar, or black dog collar, or dog collar for poodles, right? Dog collar's in there, so it's only going to be the phrase. They have to be, the words have to be next to each other, so it's a little bit more drilled down. And then exact is the kind of the funnel, the bottom of the funnel, or the top of the pyramid, depending on how you want to look at it. Because dog collar, you're only going to be seen if somebody types in dog collar, right? It's exactly, or dog collar.
I'm guilty. I've literally bought stuff for my dog because I put whatever the item name was, and my dog's a beagle, and I bought because it said specifically for a beagle.
So exactly, and that's a great example of doing exact match keywords, for your exact thing. So yeah, if you do have something that's specific for a beagle, absolutely you should be putting that in there. Now that just playing devil's advocate, let's say that collar also fits other types of dogs, so you might still want to try maybe some phrase matching, and you might be relevant to other types of dogs as well. But if you know you're a match for beagle, that's kind of when you want to double down. The point of this, and product target just means picking an ASIN, saying, hey, here's a competitor, I want to be on their page. So you just use that ASIN. And ASIN is kind of like an exact match too. You're just telling Amazon, I want to be on that product detail page. So, but the goal of this really is to just get you guys to understand you do have some controls over not only the keywords that you put in, but how you're telling Amazon basically to match them to those customer searches. Okay, campaign structure best practices. Basically, just covering how campaigns are structured within Amazon. One of the most important things to do when creating your PPC campaigns, basically, is having the right structure from the absolute get-go. Because I see this a lot with beginners, so that's why I kind of wanted to cover this. So when talking about campaigns, there's generally only two things you need to keep in mind: organization and control. So Amazon is doing a better and better job of giving you more and more levers that you can use and switch to give you more control, which is really, really good. But it doesn't really help in the case where your campaigns are set up wrong, maybe from the get-go. It's going to be much more hard. It's going to be harder to optimize those types of campaigns. So I'll give you an example using just ad groups. And an ad group is kind of like the name of a folder within that campaign. So you can have a campaign, you can have different ad groups or different folders in that campaign. In that ad group, you could have one particular product or as many different products as you want. And then you can have bids that you're doing for that particular folder. It really doesn't make any sense, and you're going to understand why in a second. Let's say you set up a campaign with a budget of just $100. You create two ad groups, so there's two folders in that campaign. The assumption is that you'd spend $50, or Amazon would equally split up that $50. That's not the way Amazon works, because they don't do some things logically. So $100, let's say you had, in this example, is 4 different ad groups. You'd expect, okay, that budget's going to be split up into 4 groups. That's just not the way it works. Amazon actually is looking within each one of those folders and looking at those keywords, looking at those bids separately from each other. So it makes it really kind of hard to optimize. So here's the reality. One ad group is in one campaign, you've got 4 ad groups. One is spending $38 a day, one spending $14, $25, $23. So in this example, this is lack of control, less control. Mm-hmm. And that's why, I suggest, and Mita as well, Since campaign budgets do not get distributed evenly between ad groups, what's the solution? Well, only create one ad group per campaign. So you've got one campaign. In that campaign, you have one ad group. The only maybe slight deviation from this is, let's say you've got one product. That one product just has different colors, right? So let's say you set up a folder or an ad group and you just have the different colors. That's okay. If you just want to visually see, is the pink one selling better or the black one? But then that means that all the keywords in that pink, black, or blue, all the keywords need to have pink, black, or blue in it, because that's the only way that makes sense to use multiple ad groups in my mind. So you can quickly at a glance know, oh, pink is selling better than black, basically just looking at the results. You can also look at your sales results too and easily see that. So that's why we just say, just keep it simple. One campaign, each campaign gets one ad group, and that gives you more control. Another question we get, how much spend will each keyword get? Same with ad groups. You can't control how much spend each keyword gets. It's completely up to Amazon. You can set the budget at the campaign level, and then that flows to the ad groups, which is why you should only have one, and then Amazon spends it how they see fit. So in order to get some control over this question, it really should be how many keywords per ad group or per campaign are we talking about? So based on I've been doing this since 2017, and Mina's been doing it for 3, 4, 5 years now. Based on what I've seen and conversations with Amazon as well, it keeps getting smaller and smaller. Amazon used to say 50 keywords a campaign. Now they don't say that anymore. So my suggestion is 5 to 20 keywords max, but that is dependent on search volume for those keywords. So if you want to be super lazy and not look at the search volumes, then I'd say 5 keywords max. If you want to actually do this correctly, you should be looking at the search volumes because, well, I'll tell you why. One campaign, one ad group. So keyword quantity based on search volume. So campaign 1, you got your high volume keywords. Oh, it looks like I missed one. 1 to 5, high volume. The second one should say high to medium volume, 1 to 5. Medium volume, 1 to 10. Low to volume keywords, 1 to 20. So basically I'm saying you can have 1 to 20 keywords, but it's really dependent on the search volumes. And low, medium, high is up to the keywords that you found, right? So if you're in a super niche category and the search volumes for the highest searches are all under 300, well, then 300 is your high mark, right? If you're in a super competitive category and the highest search volume for your keywords are in the thousands, well, then the thousands of searches is your high mark. And then you just work it back from there. And the reason that you want to do that is, again, because of this keyword budget allocation. It's critical because you want, if you're going to do all the time and energy to do the keyword research, what you really want is to make sure all those keywords actually do get used by Amazon, right? At least seen, some impressions, hopefully they get some clicks. But what happens with campaigns that either have just too many keywords in them or keywords with misaligned search volumes is that a lot of keywords just don't ever see the light of day. They don't ever see any impressions. So that's why the reason behind this is that when you add a high search volume keyword and a low search volume keyword in the same ad group, what's going to happen? Well, the keyword with the higher search volume is going to take up all the budget. And Amazon sees that. And so they're just going to throw all the budget at that higher search volume keyword. It's probably going to get the higher sales because it's getting the most, action. It's getting the most traction, visibility, which then leads to sales. And it will basically just ignore all the other keywords that you spent time researching. And you won't get any impressions or any spend on any of those keywords, regardless of how big your budget is. Amazon's always going to focus on the keywords that have the highest search volumes. It's like the 80-20 rule. Only 20% are going to get it, 80% are not. That's why you want to really look at your search volumes and start, with lower quantities of keywords in each of these campaigns. Speaking of budgets, this is another common question that I get: how much, budget should my campaigns have? This is a very common question. It's very critical as well. There's no single answer. A lot of people like to get solid answers for these types of questions. And my answer generally is, well, how much can you afford in your first few weeks to a month to collect data? Because that is the answer. Amazon, when you're creating the campaigns, Amazon does give you some recommendations on budget, so you can take that into consideration. I see them range from $30 to $100 sometimes, depending on what type of campaign that you're launching. But at the end of the day, it's really up to you to monitor your campaigns and ensure they have enough budget. So, you can really easily do that. There's a new budgets page, which I'll show in maybe intermediate. See if you can quickly, scan and find some campaigns that are running out of budget. But, my last tip for this is one of my biggest tips. If your budget's too low and you keep running out, then that means you're missing data for a portion of the day. So if your campaign's running out at 5 a.m., that means your campaign doesn't turn on again until midnight, because Amazon resets every single day at midnight and starts the budgets again, right? So if you're running out at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., you're missing an entire day's worth of potential activity. And when you're brand new, the whole point of PPC is data collection. Far too many sellers try to launch with low budgets, thinking that they're kind of dabbling. You can't dabble with PPC. And this is why. If you're constantly going out of budget, that means, again, like I said, you're missing data, which means then you can never really optimize down, right? So the point of PPC at the beginning, again, is data collection, so that you can then optimize things down. And we'll talk about optimization in the intermediate and advanced, but optimization is simply looking at what's there and deciding what's working, let's bump it up. What's not working, let's get rid of it. Well, if you don't have all the data, then you're not able to then do that. So really, when your campaigns are out of budget, or maybe your bids are too low, so they're not even getting seen, you're really kind of just shooting yourself in the foot and, wasting a lot of time and energy that you were using to do all this and get your campaigns and your listing up and doing your research so that you can actually be seen on Amazon PPC. And that was it for today.
Wow.
There were slides I cut, but
No, I think that's perfect. I think
that was incredible. Absolutely.
Great information, Vince. Just real quick, tell everybody just quickly about Trivium Group.
Sure.
And also, let's cover just slightly what you'll be covering in the intermediate on the next video.
Yeah. Okay. So Trivium Group is a PPC agency. Just celebrated its second birthday while we were all at Prosper together, which is really good to see all you guys at the, Trivium had one of the last parties at our Prosper show in Vegas. It was great. And really, they service from small to, advanced type of sellers. They do everything, they have a great team that Mina Elias is the one who runs Trivium Group. He has a long history as a seller, runs a really, really popular supplement, electrolytes powder for his MMA brand. And he just, was doing so well with his own PPC, his own products, that people kept coming to him and said, hey, can you help me with my PPC? And he's really big on content. And if any of you follow me in Elias, there's content like every single day, every hour, it seems. And I'm coming on, coming on board because I did a lot of the content and the marketing and the training, at Helium 10. So we do everything from the auditing of the accounts, giving the recommendations on what people can do, themselves, if they want it to be managed, obviously, by the team at, at Trivium, helping with the reviews. So lots of different areas of PPC that he touches on. And as far as the next couple of courses, now that we've had this kind of like foundation, what I'll probably do is some slides and some content, and actually go into Amazon, show you the placement bidding, show you the dynamic bidding, what it means, when you should actually be using it, give you some examples of maybe the targeting page, the budgets page that I kind of touched on here, so you can really see live within the Amazon Ads console what that looks like, and give you some best practices around that. And then the advanced really will probably be, maybe some advanced strategies with the different campaign types, and maybe some advanced kind of optimization techniques as well.
Very cool.
I love it. Very exciting.
Be sure to tune in for the PPC intermediate course. If you're watching this, I'll try to make it here at the end, where you can click right into the next one. If you're watching this too early and we haven't got to that yet, stay tuned. I'll definitely have all three of the links in the description once they're all done, so you can jump to it. Vince, thank you so much for showing us what you got. Looking forward to having you on for the next one for intermediate and advanced also.
I'm glad I made the cut. I'm glad
you definitely made the cut.
I'm still here. We're talking about our next one, so I'm stoked.
That's right. You definitely showed us what you got, and we definitely appreciate it. Stay tuned, everybody, for the next one, and thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sellernomics podcast. Special thanks to our sponsor, GETIDA. Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at GETIDA.com/Sellernomics. Be sure to join us again next week for more great tips on how to grow your business. And thanks again for listening.